Ms. Starr, it's my understanding that you've got many years of experience as a social worker. And could you tell us about your qualifications?
I do have many years as a school counselor and as a private counselor with a private practice. And I've worked more with children and families than any other age group. That's been my area of expertise, if you will.
These children, these little girls, are being robbed of the benefit of learning a relationship with their own dad. And some events have transpired involving false allegations of a very heinous nature against Stephen Warren. And in two cases of first degree felony, charges being filed and indicted by the court, the prosecutor turned around and said, in the interest of justice, I have to declare this null prosecutor because I don't have the evidence it takes to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. Could you tell us what kind of an impact that has on a female child's mind, something like that?
I would think deep inside they know who this man is. They have been told what to do and what's expected of them. But deep inside, there must be such a yearning to know him, because they have those good memories that no one, no matter what they do, can take that away from them. And a relationship with a father, that's where girls learn how to behave as a lady. That's how they learn how they should be treated as a lady. It's how that father treats them.
In a final visit some 7.5 years ago, Mr. Warren's oldest daughter told him about a mysterious series of interludes with a person named Poppy who has molested her. Here, Mrs. Starr is watching a video he made of his interview with her. The district attorney who was presented this evidence wound up in prison on an unrelated matter. And the assistant DA who was presented this same evidence, the one who was intended to prosecute it, actually committed suicide. And the Child Protective Services of the state of Texas refused to even look at it. It involves an individual named Poppy. Now then, could you give me your reaction to what you've just seen? I'm mindful that the people under discussion, the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, they're sworn constitutional officers of the state of Texas. And they are sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States, the state of Texas, all its penal laws, its civil laws, a secret. Something that she's been sworn to hold as a secret. It's just not right. And, it occurs to me that you might just have a qualified opinion about that.
I wish I could say it was uncommon, but I can't, in truthfulness. I can't say that. This child is telling the truth.
Can you tell us the indicators that show you that?
Because she repeats herself, and she always repeats the same words. She knows what she's talking about. And she twists and turns and doesn't face him because she knows she's not supposed to tell. And she's either been threatened if she tells that bad things will happen to her, or that bad things might happen to those she loves if she tells, or she's been given a lot of gifts to not tell. But she wants it to stop, or she wouldn't be telling it.
In a similar case involving two girls whose father withheld a visitation from their mother, we hear how his attorney tricked them into believing that he would keep them from they keep the father from learning that he was arranging a visit with their mother, and so he was teaching them to scheme and lie and do things that weren't quite right. But it backfired when he double-crossed them.
I can like fight him.
But why?
Because he's so...
He lied.
He lied, and he was also very... The way that the Bible describes Satan, and, you know, like, he's very charming, and he can lie very well. Like, he doesn't come off the way that, you know, the red horns, and you can see him and be like, that's evil. He charms you and then makes you want to do that, you know, like, whatever it is. And he was kind of, like, in that way, I guess, because he was saying, you know... He pretty much said, go do this thing to get with your mom. But it didn't turn out that way. It turned better on our dad's side. Which, I mean, that's what he was supposed to do. It wasn't...
He was supposed to con a couple of little girls and make them believe something that wasn't true?
No.
You sure that's what he's supposed to do?
I meant in a way that his job was supposed to help our dad get us, you know, stuff like that.
Doesn't look like it worked out too hot. I'm looking at an affidavit that your mother gave for an emergency...
protective order?
Yes, and the allegations in there are pretty severe. And as it turns out, the way this story ends is your dad relinquished his parental rights for perpetuity to your mom. So perhaps the advocacy that Mr. Elliott gave him wasn't entirely successful. I don't know. But when we come back, let's talk about this notion of outcry and how it really works. Can we do that?
Yeah. CPS.
Okay, CPS, Child Protective Services of the state of Texas, they make an art and science out of dealing with outcries from abused children from broken homes. How'd that work out for you folks?
It's good in, you know, I don't know if the word is retrospect, I don't ever use that word, but, you know, like, it's a good idea, you know, Child Protective Services, you want to protect the children. But whenever you're in the room of the abusers and you ask what they're doing, it doesn't really do a lot because you're...
Right.
They're sitting across the table from you and they're like, so what do they do to you? What happens? What happens here between y'all? You know, you can't really say a lot because they're sitting right there and they can't do anything at the moment, get you out of the house.
And I'd like to find out, did the CPS ever kind of double-cross you the way that Mr. Dunn did? Mr. Elliott?
Well, he kind of was the one that, I wouldn't say started the whole thing because you know it was going to happen eventually, but he was a really big effect on causing a lot of chaos and things that didn't need to happen because he just wanted our dad's side. He wanted his money. He wanted...
Right. He wasn't ever an advocate.
No.
Okay, about CPS, did you ever contact them through your school or...
Yes.
Aha, we've got a nibble here.
Well, at school, they actually separated us. They got us into a room. I wasn't in there with Coco. They got us in separate rooms. I don't even know that Coco did that day, but I did. Mm-hmm. And they would ask us, like, in this room, like, is anything going on with the family? Anything wrong? Like, are we getting abused? But at that point, CPS has done, every time that they try to step in and really, they put a lot more effort in trying to get around the problem and get their money instead of fixing it, instead of actually fixing
doing their actual job?
Yeah, instead of doing their job, they'll find a way to go around it.
Okay, what does that mean, going around it?
Instead of, CPS is supposed to protect the kids, right? In their name. They never did it. They would always, they teamed up with the abusers, our parent, our stepmom and our dad. They teamed up with everything that we would say in that little room that nobody can hear. Even everything that we would say to them, they would say right back to our dad and our stepmom.
Ooh.
So
every bit of confidentiality, they went and told them.
They picked a side, and it wasn't the right side, and
I feel like words that we heard a lot was, oh, they're not so bad. Like, every single time we went for an outcry or went to go get help, they're not as bad as you think. You know, they're doing whatever it is they're trying to help you, when they really, really weren't. Like, whoa, this is different, because they were not. They really, really weren't. Like, we were really young at the time, so I guess that was kind of an effect on, we didn't know what we were talking about.